Houston, our instruments are showing that we have a incoming message from deep space. Repeat, Houston, we have an incoming message from deep space. Houston, we'll begin playing message now. Houston, we're going to try and translate that up here. Hold for translation. Translation complete. We'll begin playing message now.
Hey, it's me, Melissa.
What do you do when the aliens invade? Take a shot of MK Ultra and watch Melissa Jade. Put on your tinfoil hat and tune right in. We got that crime spree, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, a complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what are dolphins understanding? It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Aliens is on the sun or in Area 51. Time travels, unravels, haunted castles, cops are baffled, potential experimental thoughts that make you transcendental. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Crime sprees, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what are dolphins understanding? It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa.
Hello, everybody. Happy Members Only Monday. Hello, Debbie Doodles. Hey, Natasha. For Gits and Shiggles, we have MK Schmegma. We have Grandma Cece, who says, I put my DNA on the thumbs up on the way in. Good evening, MJ and crew. Thank you very much. I have Planer Lover, Tess, We Gobshite, Debbie Doodles, Keith, Simply Complex, Kathy, for Harlot, People Me, Musicity Mom, Kim, Nope, Not Today, for Linda, Petunia, Lydia, Jade, Mamie, K-Love. Hi, guys. Let me jump back down. Welcome. Hi, Jen Gilcher. He is good looking. He's very handsome. So we're switching it up for today, for this Members Only Monday, and we are going to be starting. Well, actually, I did an episode a very long time ago on my channel, but we're just redoing it, and we're starting the Missing 411. And if you aren't familiar with the Missing 411, David Paulides. Woo! You know what? Let me just pull him up. And put on your tinfoil hats. I made a post because we're doing back-to-back lives right now. We're here for our Members Only Monday on YouTube for the Missing 411. And then as soon as this ends, we are going live on Patreon, and we're going to be doing a 9/11 episode for the Untold Truth for all of our Patreon members over there. So bring your tinfoil hats. But I, again, when I say, if anybody who's been following me for a long time, then you're already familiar with my 9/11 coverage. But if you are a newer subscriber who maybe is not familiar with my 9/11 coverage, please be aware I do not hold back, and I am very, I don't know how to, I should have thought about this before I even started speaking. I do not tiptoe. I let my feelings be known, and I'm very open about where I stand. So if you think that you're going to be offended or you're not going to want to hear that type of stuff, joining Patreon probably won't be for you. But that is what Patreon is for. Patreon is for things that I can't speak about openly on YouTube. So I just want to let anybody know who does. I started my 9/11 series on YouTube, but I could not continue my 9/11 series on YouTube. But I just want to let anybody know, because I don't want anybody to join and be like, whoa, I can't handle this. This is too much, because there's nothing being held back regarding that series. Hi, Kimberly. Tiptoe through the. Oh my God, dude. That song, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. You know, he died performing that song. You know what, though, Harlot? I kind of, you really don't, Harlot, because I'm kind of going to go through it all again. And I kind of made that decision today when I was like, where should I go with it? I was like, you know what? I'm kind of going to just jump through it all again, because I figured, I don't know, like anytime, I'm not somebody who does a perfect timeline with everything. I'm very ADHD. And so anytime I bring something up, I have to attach it with something, you know what I mean? So it's always going to get brought up again. So it's not like, oh, if you missed it, it's never going to get brought up again. You know what I mean? It's always going to get mentioned again. Yeah. So the guy, the Tiptoe Through the Tulips, that guy, that creepy song that you hear on YouTube Shorts and TikTok all the time, that guy died performing that song. You guys know the song. Trust me, you know the song. It's a very creepy song. What was I going to do? Oh, okay. David Paulides. So, who is David Paulides? Well, let me show you who David Paulides is. David Paulides is a former police officer who is now an investigator and writer, known primarily for his books dedicated to proving the reality of Bigfoot and establishing the Missing 411 conspiracy theory. Missing 411 is a series of books and films which document cases of people who have gone missing in national parks and elsewhere, and assert that these cases are unusual and mysterious, contrary to data analysis, which suggests that they are not actually statistically mysterious or even unexpected. So let me show you what Mr. Paulides looks like. He is very handsome. I would love one day to get Mr. Paulides on. You've heard it. Yeah, Tiny Tim. Thank you, Pointer Lover and Test. Tiny Tim. Yes. You've heard it. Hold on. Now I'm going to get hit. And now I'm going to get struck because I need to show you. Tiptoe through the two. Here we go. Ready? This song. I do too, Catherine. This song. Do you recognize it? Yes, no, maybe so. Killer porn stash. Yeah, he does have a killer porn stash. That is not Amy singing. Hi, Meg P. What you cooking? Happy Monday, Neat Noodle. I'm not sure. Okay, so it's really old, Harlot. It's old. Oh my goodness. Hold on. All right, we're gonna get. This is Tiny Tim. So he looks as freaky as the song is, okay? Tiptoe through the tulips. And he died performing this song. in high school that made sure we're all very aware of time. Really, Kimberly? Oh, that's so interesting. I took history of rock and roll in college, and I don't ever recall learning about Tiny Tim, but I don't think Tiny Tim was rock and roll, to be fair. Put David back up. Simply complex. Put David back up right now. Okay. So before we get started, our missing child that we are focusing on for tonight's live, which actually is also going to be one of our child topic for tonight's live. So I chose this. I did not choose this child intentionally. I told you guys when I go on the National Missing Child's website, I told you guys that I always try to pick a different state. And I just happened to scroll and I picked this state and I picked the age and there was Deorr Kunz. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Because Deorr Kunz is one of the missing children regarding the missing 411 that I was going to talk to you guys about. And so it just so happened to work out this way. So not only is his story something that we're going to be highlighting, he's also still actively missing, and he's going to be our missing child for this live. So Deorr Kunz, Deorr J. Kunz, he has been missing since July 10th, 2015, out of Leodore, Idaho. He would be 11 years old now. Deorr's photo is shown age progressed to 4 years. He was last seen on July 10th, 2015. Deorr was wearing a camouflage jacket and blue pajama pants. If you or anyone you know has information on Deorr's whereabouts, please contact the Lemhi County Sheriff's Office in the number contacted in blue. Okay? It's actually pretty eerie that, like, I happen to pull up his information as the missing child for tonight. So I'll pull up. I'll tell you guys about Deorr. So with Deorr, no, his family did not disappear. Now Deorr, I don't know if I would classify him 100% as a missing 411. He may be, he may not be. It's skeptical because with Deorr, I'll tell you guys what happened. So Deorr did vanish in the woods, okay? So here is a timeline, and this is Nate Eden, okay? So at this point, when this article was written, it was 10 days since Deorr vanished. So Deorr, his dad, his mom, his great-grandfather, and a family friend traveled 120 miles from Idaho Falls to Timber Creek's campground in Leodore. The campsite is remote and takes around 2.5 hours to drive to from Idaho Falls. At 2:28 p.m., Deorr's mother, Jessica Mitchell, calls 911 and reports her son missing. Search crews arrive and begin to look for the toddler. Now, what had happened is the mom and dad went to walk towards the creek to fish, and the grandpa was sitting, well, the great grandpa was sitting at the campground, and Deorr originally started walking with mom and dad, and then he wanted to turn back around to go back to great grandpa, and they let him. And they said that it wasn't so far, like they were totally fine letting him go and run back to him, but he never made it back and completely vanished, okay? Never to be seen again. So search crews arrive and begin to look for the toddler. Saturday, July 11th, searchers look on horseback, ATVs, foot, and in water for Deorr. They focus on 2.5-mile radius around the campground. One area of concern is a creek about 15 yards away from the campsite. The area is searched numerous times. Sunday, July 12th, the Lemhi County Sheriff's Office reports nearly 200 volunteers show up to look for Deorr. His grandmother tells East Idaho News it appears the 2-year-old just vanished. How this 2-year-old just completely vanishes in this area with all of these searchers, we don't know. Hey, Bryn. Hey, Snot Rocket. Volunteer search efforts are suspended, but deputies say trained professionals will continue to look for the boy. Monday, July 13th. In their only interview, Deorr's parents explained what happened the previous Friday afternoon. They say they no longer believe Deorr's lost, but think someone may have abducted their son and make a plea for his safe return. That evening, around 200 people gather in Idaho Falls for a candlelight vigil. Now, why I say that this isn't technically a missing 411 is there's a lot of controversy surrounding the parents. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the friend that was with them. But being that I happen to pull up Deorr's photo for tonight's live as the missing child, I'm like, all right, I'll discuss him too. But a lot of people question the family or that friend's involvement. There was exactly point over. There was nobody at the campground to take him, which can absolutely open the door to the missing 411 possibility, but people have questions about their involvement. Okay. Yeah, it did, Tess. It did. So Tuesday and Wednesday, search efforts continue near the campground. Dive crews focus on the stone reservoir located about a quarter of a mile from where the family was camping. Deorr's parents remain camped near the site as deputies search the creek once again and determine Deorr is not there. Thursday, July 16th, a representative from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children arrives in Leodore. They post an update on Facebook clarifying remarks on the search. National media are now covering the story, including Nancy Grace. So the dive team is called in to search the reservoir. And then Saturday, July 18th, it's Deorr's father's birthday. He spends the day camped yards away from where his son disappeared. 10 days since Deorr was last seen. It's been searched dozens of times. Crews have scoured the Stones Reservoir and Creek, and they were all desperate for answers. And Deorr to this day has never been found. Never been found, okay? And yeah, and I wasn't planning on discussing Deorr for today's live because, like I said, I'd want to bring up the parents' interview and the family friends interview because this is a little bit more than a missing 411. But yeah, Harlot, I'll bring that to you guys for the second episode because you have to have all the information. But Deorr is still missing to this day, which is really, really, really sad. Now, what I will continue with, is the very bizarre disappearance of Tom Messick. This is Tom Messick, okay? Yeah, the great grandpa. It's just, listen, 2 years old, how far do you think he'd be able to get? Yet, the next story I'm about to bring up to you guys are going to be, it's going to be interesting, okay? Is it your favorite one, Tess? It's interesting. So, let me exit out of this stuff. Tiny Tim, David Paulides. All right. So, Tom Messick disappeared November 15th, 2015, Horicon, Warren County, Lake George Wild Forest, New York. So this was revised on January 2024. So on November 15th, 2015, Tom Messick, aged 82, an ex-paratrooper, walked into the woods south of Brant Lake in New York State to hunt for deer and was never seen again. No sign of him or his belongings ever turned up, including a rifle, a walkie-talkie, despite an extensive search of the area. Unusually, the FBI was even involved in the investigation. This is a strange and puzzling hunting disappearance. So it says the hunting trip to Lake George Wild Forest. Tom lived in the city of Troy in New York State and was out that Sunday with 6 friends and family members who were hunting near Lily Pond in an area of state land that is part of the Lake George Wild Forest. The older members of the group, 4 of them, were watchers in a static position, sat on a log or similar comfortable spot, and were in a near vertical line, whilst the younger hunters used the path around the lake to drive the deer to the watchers as part of the drive. Since the mid-1880s, Brant Lake has been a popular fishing and hunting area among wealthy visitors, including Theodore Roosevelt. Brant Lake Camp was incorporated by R.G. Gerstenzang. I don't know how to say it. It doesn't matter. After 55 years of hunting with longtime friends, also senior man at the Messick's hunting camp in Hague, they decided to try this area for the first time. Tom was supposed to stay in one spot as group members walked through the woods to push deer towards him. But when they arrived at where Tom was supposed to be, Tom was gone, without a trace of him or Tom's belongings. No sign of any deer was found that day. Now, here's the eerie part. His friends and everybody who was there with Tom that day not only said that there were no signs of deer that day, they said that there were no signs of any wildlife that day at all. That's weird, right? That there was no signs of any wildlife at all. He wore duck boots, camouflage pants and a coat, gloves, and a red and black check hat he'd worn for many years. He carried a rifle and a walkie-talkie. So Tom served in the U.S. Army as a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division. He was 5 feet 10 inches tall. He weighed 160 pounds. He was an experienced hunter and woodsman and taught hunter and survival training for many years. He had a history of heart problems and lost an eye in an accident with an explosive device in his early 20s. So he did have poor vision and limited hearing, as well as 159 stitches in his hand. He also had just gotten over a case of shingles and nearly decided not to go on the annual hunting trip. So he was last seen at 10 a.m. And when Tom did not show up at the agreed upon time, his friends called forest rangers and they searched from 4:30 p.m. It got dark around 7, and at that point, half the group stayed, fired up their rifles, and honked the car horns to attract Tom to the area. The remaining men left the scene and reported him missing to family and authorities. The day after Tom had disappeared on November 16th, the search started with 13 trained SAR professionals from the Park Service. It was well organized from the start. A huge search over several weeks involving more than 300 professionals and volunteers on some days, assisted by dogs, divers, and several helicopters, found no clues, including no sign of his rifle or walkie-talkie. More than 4 square miles were searched, with a larger area being searched by air with an aid of a helicopter from the State Police Aviation Unit. Here's the thing. Yeah, plus the feds help. Here's the thing, though. If something went wrong, why didn't he even have enough time to use his walkie-talkie? That's the strange part. So here's a photo. More than 15 agencies were involved, including DEC Forest Rangers, DEC Police Canine Unit, DEC police officers, the FBI Quick Response Team, a state police special operations response team, the Warren County Sheriff's official tactical team, and volunteers from the New York State Federation of Search and Rescue Teams. The weather was poor, with heavy rain, but sniffer dogs were deployed before the worst of the rain arrived. Searchers walked through the woods, including swamps, no matter how thick they were, and checked nearby roads, but there was absolutely nothing. Areas were tied off with string to box off specific areas, allowing a detailed search of every grid zone. It was described as a spider's web of string in the forest. Hey, Little Red. So, given his age, searchers were baffled, as he could not have gotten far from his original location. And some said it was weird that there were no sounds of wildlife while the SAR teams were in operation, almost like something had silenced the woods. The search area had many caves, crevices, and other hazards. Could he have somehow fallen into one of these? For a man of his age, was he mobile enough? Why were there no clues on the ground despite the methodical grid search? Some think foul play. Surprisingly, the FBI arrived on the 4th day, November 19th. This was unusual, as the FBI never usually gets involved in these types of missing person cases unless they fall under federal jurisdiction and they happen on federal land, or it was believed a kidnapping was involved. Tom's wife, Beverly, said, "The FBI told me something isn't right with his case, but they don't know what. They won't share any theories if they don't have them. The FBI said until they make a discovery, they're never going to know." But subsequently, investigators said there have been no indications of foul play. David Winchell, a spokesperson for the DEC, said rangers continued to search the area on a limited, continuous basis since a wide-scale ground search ended in January 2016. That means rangers check the area periodically for evidence or clues. Abduction. Beverly said he'd been in the woods since he was a boy, and if he got lost, he would have cut a piece of his jacket and tied it to a tree and done the other things he had learned. His wife said her greatest fear was that he was the victim of foul play. The only thing I could think of is that maybe someone came in by a quad, hurt him, got scared, and drove him out of there. I keep praying they'll find him and that we'll have some closure. I keep worrying that I didn't tell him I loved him the last day I saw him alive. Which, that's heartbreaking. Hey, Kelly. Welcome, Jennifer Heidenhole. Thank you for becoming a member. Jennifer busted herself out. Thank you so much. Well, if it was a mountain lion, there'd most likely be evidence, Debbie Doodle. The walkie-talkie, they're not going to eat, shrapnels of the clothes, pieces of flesh, there would be some type of evidence. So events after the disappearance. In the summer of 2018, State police use sniffer dogs trained to detect cadavers to go through portions of the woods and fields near where Messick disappeared. State police investigating John Diet said no clues were found, but the police investigation was ongoing. Well, thanks for joining again, Jennifer. In the 2019 movie Missing 411 Hunted, featuring David Paulides, one of the participants in the hunting group was interviewed. I heard a strange noise in the woods, but I don't know what it was. Just a different noise from what I usually hear, you know? Like what? It'd be hard to explain but it was different. Something different that I never heard before in the woods. I just can't say what it was, you know? How long in duration was it? Was it 2 or 3 seconds? No, it's just whatever it is, you know? How far away was it? I'd say it was probably 150 yards, something like that. Was it towards Tom or away from Tom? This was up towards the hill, the top of the hill. Yeah. Did you tell the cops this? Yeah, I told them that, but they just passed it off, you know? Tom's disappearance is yet another bizarre case. Tom just vanished off the face of the planet. He was elderly, but an experienced backwoodsman, a tough guy, an ex-paratrooper, and not one to wander off into the woods when on a hunt. He had a rifle and a walkie-talkie, and no sign of them had been found despite a massive search of the area, including all of the inaccessible parts, including water and caves. It was such a big search that locals thought someone high profile or famous, like a politician, was involved. Sniffer dogs nor FLIR equipped helicopters were able to find any trace. Was he snatched from Lake George Wild Forest by a serial killer or something else? Or did he just choose to disappear, suffering from dementia or a terminal disease? The investigation into Messick's disappearance is still classified as an active missing person case by authorities. So it's weird, guys. It's weird. Hiya, Bellis. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you guys a case of a child who was missing but was found. Okay. Hi, Akasha. I'm going to show you guys a case of a child who was missing but was found, but it's one of these cases that has drawn up a lot of controversy. And it has drawn up a lot of controversy because, one, he was found in different clothes than he went missing in. 2, he managed to make such a great distance in such a short period of time. 3, the way he looked when he found. Oh, thank you, Kelly. So how many of you guys have heard of Ryker Webb? How many of you have heard of the case of 3-year-old Ryker Webb? When you guys see the before and after photo of when he went missing versus when he was found, Prime Crochet did, Gakasha did, Kathy, okay. Not you? Okay. Yes, the adorable redheaded kiddo. Well, let me explain to you. So he went missing, but he was found, okay? But it was very, there's a couple of weird things surrounding these circumstances, okay? So Ryker was a missing 3-year-old Montana boy who was found alive after 2 days in sub-zero temperatures after he took cover in a shed and slept in a lawnmower bag for warmth after wandering 2.4 miles from his home. Okay? Oh, welcome, Justice for Baby Deorr. I don't know if that was always your name or if you just changed your name, but look at that. Thank you for becoming a member. Yes. Oh, how amazing. A 3-year-old. A 3-year-old. Okay. So let me. All right. So hold on. So Ryker was first reported missing Friday afternoon south of Troy, Montana, after wandering from his home on East Side Bull Lake. Apparently, Ryker had been playing in the front yard with his father and his dog. Ryker's father allegedly stepped inside their home for a mere few minutes. And by the time he came back out, Ryker wandered off. Now, we don't know why his dad did not call 911 right away. He went looking for Ryker and he went to the neighbor's house, and it took the neighbor to call 911. But this is what happened, okay? So his frantic father started searching for Ryker on their property and the neighboring properties, and a concerned neighbor called the police. A code red was sent out to all the neighbors in the vicinity, asking that they search their own properties and structures. A missing person report was disseminated nationwide, and multiple agencies were involved. There was a 2-day search for the missing boy, including air, drones, dog teams, and more than 50 volunteers. Search teams were deployed, and ATV riders and a boat unit were also on the lake to aid in the search. 2 Montana National Guard helicopters joined search efforts along with drones from Flathead County to the Spokane Police Department. You guys, they could not find this 3-year-old child. So think about that. All those eyes out looking, yet this 3-year-old managed to go with undetected, okay? 2 days. However, the sheriff's office said it was extremely difficult to get the additional air assets into the Bull Lake Valley due to the very poor weather conditions, which consisted of rain, low visibility, and low ceiling. So at this point now, really bad storms started coming in. Really bad storms, okay? So this poor child is already out there and missing for 2 days, but now we got really bad storms. So one of their issues during their search for Ryker was that the initial missing persons report came in on Friday at 4:43 p.m., which had been 2 hours after the boy had gone missing. Why the dad did not call 911 immediately after Ryker went missing, we will never know. But it took the damn neighbor calling. So Ryker had quite a lead on them. But how much of a lead can a 3-year-old have? So come Sunday, less than 48 hours after Ryker wandered off, it took actually volunteer searchers who heard about Ryker going missing that went and were going to stay at their local cabin. And when they arrived at their cabin, and they made their way all the way to their cabin to go and search for him. And when they got on their property, they heard a noise coming from their shed. And they go into their shed, and what do they find? They find this little boy in the lawnmower bag. So Ryker, this couple happens to travel states to their cabin to search for him, and just so happens to hear some noise. And in their cabin, this 3-year-old boy was smart enough to not only travel an insane amount of distance, but to get cover in a shed and then to climb into a lawnmower bag for warmth. And he was found. Okay? Welcome, con artist. Thank you for becoming a member again. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. So, less than 48 hours after Ryker wandered off, he was miraculously found in an empty log cabin miles from his home. Now, let me show you the photo that was given to police that was put out nationally when Ryker went missing, okay? This is the photo we were given that went national to help find Ryker Webb. It was -5. It was sub-zero temperatures, Abellis. This is what we were given. Okay? Look how adorable. This is Ryker. They took a picture of Ryker the moment he was found and put into the ambulance. Are you ready? This is Ryker when he was found. Ryker was found with no injuries, but wearing the wrong clothes. Well, that's the thing, Harlot. We didn't really get clarity on that. I think this one may be a case of bad parenting. I think the parents, I don't think the dad went in for a minute and then walked back out and he was gone. I think he may have been inside for much longer, may have fell asleep. I think that he may have always been in his pajamas, and he probably didn't want to admit that he was in his pajamas and originally told us he was in an outfit that he wasn't in. Or he really, who the hell changed him? That, you know, we have to go with Ackman's razor, which would make more sense of the reason you didn't call 911 right away is because, crap, you may have fell asleep and you weren't sure how long it had been since he was missing. And so you went out driving around to kind of figure out where'd he go, which would make more sense for him to have traveled that far, because it wasn't actually in that short amount of time. And he was in his pajamas because you didn't get him dressed and ready for the day. That makes more sense. But giving us an old photo, and apparently when the parents were asked his age, they originally said 4 and then changed it to 3. So I don't know how these parents are, what. But his face, right, his face looks much thinner. He looks very different. He looks shell-shocked. But he made a great distance. He made a great distance for a 3-year-old child, with all of these agencies looking for him in a storm. And ready? So once the sheriff got to the boy, they asked him a few questions that the toddler answered honestly. So the sheriff asked him if he had been on a walk. Ryker said yes. When I asked if the walk was long, Ryker replied yes. When I asked if he was tired, the boy said very tired. Short, who was grateful that the boy was home safe and back with his family, expressed gratitude for all the law enforcement officials and volunteers who helped. He said the boy's eyes lit up when he was reunited with his parents. The sheriff also seemed quite impressed with little Ryker's survival skills. I would be too. But he was found in a shed 2.4 miles away from his home. The couple heard sounds of whimpers from the shed on their property. They found the toddler tucked into the lawnmower bag. The adorable red-headed, blue-eyed toddler had only been dressed in a light blue onesie that had been covered in dirt and grime, with numerous holes by his footsies. He had some bruises on his face and looked pale, fatigued, and appeared dehydrated, but he was alive. Emergency personnel transported him to Cabinet Peaks Medical Center for evaluation. The boy appeared to be in a state of shock and frightened when he was found. Short said during an appearance that the boy is doing fine now, but he was scared. He was out there all by himself, hearing the rain and wind and not sure how he was going to be able to get home. And that mountain lions and bears inhabit the area. Once the thunderstorms in the area started on Friday, Ryker took shelter. I truly believe that he took cover in that shed from Friday evening until he was found on Sunday. He goes missing, and he makes his way all the way here. But why did his family give us this photo to compare with? I don't get it. I don't know if the lawnmower bag was zipped up. There's actually a whole conspiracy though on the internet. Leave it to the internet that that's not Ryker. Now, right, Harlot. Now, there's actually a video. And keep in mind the temperature. It was like -5 degrees. his brother posted a video to like TikTok of Ryker now, asking him. I found it in Christina Randall's video she did. And you guys ready to see this? Okay. Take a look at this.
Keep asking about what happened. Ryker, do you remember when you got lost?
Mhm.
What do you see?
I see a house.
A house
Woods.
in the woods?
Yeah. Someone can live in there and then I can so I can live.
Someone lived in the house?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you, bro. That was scary. You okay though now?
Mhm.
Yeah. Keep asking about what happened. Ryker, do you remember when you got lost?
Mhm.
What do you see?
I see a house.
A house
Woods.
in the woods?
Yeah. Someone can live in there and then I can so I can live.
Someone lived in the house?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you, bro. That was scary. You okay though now?
Mhm.
Yeah. Keep asking.
Which that just makes my heart hurt because I couldn't imagine any child. How scary that must have been like. But then I look at that photo of him and he's in shock. He must be in shock because he's like smiling. It freaks me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But I think this is also, I think the parents needed to be investigated with this one. I don't think the timeline was accurate. This poor child. This poor child. Look at his little toe in that one. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, I'm trying to think which one I should. Okay. Then there is, and this is a video that I'll play and we'll go over it and watch it, and I'll drop the link for the video about a child who goes missing and what he experiences while out alone in the woods is interesting to say the least. And then I want to talk to you guys about some theories because I have some theories. Okay.
Did a young boy in the 1950s have a close encounter whilst lost in the woods? This is all things creepy. Let's begin. In 1953, 11-year-old Boy Scout Jerry Monkman went missing. He had gotten...
This is Jerry Monkman. It's an actual story, okay? This is just like a nice short video that I found putting it together.
Separated from his scouting party whilst hiking in the Rocky Mountains. After extensive searching parties over a 38-hour period, Jerry was found 30 miles away from his last known location.
So here we are again in the 1950s. He was part of the Boy Scouts, okay? Part of the Boy Scouts. Goes missing, and then days later, found over 30 miles away. Yes, Abellis, over 30 miles away. He ends up being found by another Boy Scout. But what this boy says he experienced, ooh, just wait.
Whilst hiking in the Rocky Mountains. After extensive searching parties over a 38-hour period, Jerry was found 30 miles away from his last known location by a young 8-year-old boy on a horse. What startled his rescuers even further was that he only had a small Boy Scout torch with him. And Jerry was asthmatic. He'd traversed 30 miles of dense wilderness with extremely limited provisions. When asked further, Jerry stated that he slept under trees whilst making his perilous journey. He claims that he saw a plane travelling overhead and followed that direction, presumably hoping it would lead to his rescue. Having taken place in a rural area of North America in the 1950s, there are several accounts of what Jeremy said to authorities and those around him, especially in relation to what he experienced whilst lost for those 38 hours. He recalled his perilous journey through the woodlands, noting that he had seen various forms of wildlife, of course, which he was familiar with. Being a Boy Scout, he had seen elk, deer, things of that nature. However, he does mention that an animal that he didn't recognize, or multiple animals that he didn't recognize, with strange glowing eyes, had been following him in the distance.
So not only did he see, because he was a Boy Scout, okay, wildlife that he was familiar with, but he also saw wildlife that he was not familiar with glowing eyes, and this wildlife would follow him, okay?
Distance. He recalls looking back to try and catch a glimpse of them, only to see them retreat behind trees. However, these animals did continue to follow him throughout his long journey back to civilization.
So they would just follow him, keep a distance, and follow him. And anytime he would try to look back to get a glimpse at them, they would kind of like retreat behind a tree or something, but steadily keep a distance behind him, but fucking follow this kid.
Jerry was initially highly fearful of these animals. However, although they followed him for the entirety of his journey, they didn't harm him. And this correlated with what was found. He only had scratches from presumably the brambles and undergrowth. Jerry made sure to emphasize this point. He thought they were going to hurt him, but they didn't. They simply followed and observed. Jerry also mentions that he felt extremely drowsy and tired, which to an extent would be reasonable for his situation. However, of course, the fight or flight response would usually keep you going. He said,
so that is peculiar, because if you are lost in the middle of the woods, pitch dark, hi Trio Girl, yes, you can rationalize that you would be drowsy and tired from the long travel that you're doing, right? But at the same time, he is being followed by creatures with glowing eyes, and he is lost fight or flight is kicking in, adrenaline is kicking in, fear. At the same time, no, you would not be drowsy. You would be terrified and your heart would be pounding. Yet, and I want you guys to remember this when we're talking about theories, okay? For some reason, he had this feeling of feeling tired. It's interesting to me.
That he needed to take constant breaks and naps, which
constant breaks and naps. This child felt like they needed to take constant breaks and naps. Do you think that you would ever sit down in the middle of a damn forest in the pitch dark with glowing eyed creatures following you? You think you would ever just sit down and close your eyes? But the fact that he felt even calm enough to do that, right?
which is very unusual, especially paired with the fear response that he was experiencing when looking at these unknown creatures. Jerry wasn't particularly clear on how he'd gotten lost in the first place. He had simply gotten confused and wandered off and then got lost in the woods. Now, I'm not sure how the Boy Scouts in Montana functioned in the 1950s, but if that is the case, he simply wandered off. That seems highly irresponsible and, in my opinion, unlikely. So the idea for this video was given to me by a subscriber who sent me Mr. Ballin's short video about the same topic. Now, of course, since that's a short video, he basically just blasts through the details of what happened, doesn't really try to explain it or give any context. So let's start with the UFO/alien theory. So we have unidentified animals, as he describes them, with glowing eyes. Instantly a bit unusual and strange, but the weirdest part, of course, is the fact that they follow him over multiple nights or naps. It's not exactly clear, but they don't actually do anything to him. If this were a predatory animal, presumably they would take full advantage while he's asleep to get an easy meal. And remember, Jerry specifically emphasized that they didn't hurt him, despite his instinctive feelings that they were going to. So the main theories are that they were simply observing him. Aliens were in the area, saw something unusual, and observed it, of course, being intelligent beings. Another theory is that they were planning on abducting him, but didn't, for whatever reason. And then, of course, another theory carrying on from that is that they did abduct him and then released him into the woods, which does coincide with a lot of alien abduction stories, and it would explain the drowsiness that he felt and the lack of memory. The next theory is that it was simply wildlife. Jerry, of course, was a Boy Scout. However, a lot of this would have taken place late at night. The glowing eyes, animals, a lot of wildlife, their eyes do glow in the night. And remember, Jerry was also asthmatic and hadn't eaten for a while. He was not exactly specific about when these creatures started following him. So by then he could have been delirious due to lack of food or water. Now, some of the key candidates for this would of course be mountain lions. Their eyes do glow. If they were stalking Jerry, this behavior would make sense. They would want to be hidden whilst following him. But it is strange that they didn't carry out the ambush. They never actually attacked him.
That's terrifying.
And then, of course, another prime candidate, which are often confused with aliens, are owls. Owls late at night, with their big glowing eyes, seem pretty alien-like. And especially if you pair that with the fact that he was delirious, lacking food and water, and sleep, this is definitely a plausible explanation. Owls are, of course, curious animals. They're active at night, so you wouldn't be able to necessarily see all of their body clearly. And simply due to their smaller size, it would be very difficult for them to eat or attack an 11-year-old boy. And
I think, Jennifer, now I'm going to sound crazy. I think there is a deal, or at least there was a deal, when it comes to national parks and forests. if we go back to Eisenhower made a deal with the Greys. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I think that with national parks and forests, there is a deal with extraterrestrial beings that basically, okay, put it this way. If we had access to alien beings, which I believe we have already, what's the first thing that we would want to do? We'd want to do tests on it, right? Of course. Aliens are the same. And so I believe that in exchange for technology, I think that we've made a deal to kind of look the other way and allow certain humans to be abducted for numerous different reasons. Right, like any new species we find. And so with it being national parks and forests, it's kind of like hands up, you know, like it's an area where when it happens over here, you know, it's not our problem, you know, look the other way. There's so many, like, and it's so bizarre the way it happens. Yeah, well, they do bother us and we do bother them, but there's a deal, there's a treaty. We want that technology. When your brain accepts what it means to be visited by extraterrestrial beings, it means there are beings that have the ability to travel through space and time. Your brain struggles to even understand what type of technology that is. We are very greedy. We are a very greedy species. We are not at that level of consciousness yet. And so we would do anything for that knowledge. Even when it comes to, yeah, you could take some fucking people, absolutely, in exchange for this technology and aka money, right? Yeah, well, you guys know about Vlad, right? You guys know about the extraterrestrial that was within our own government, right? His name is Vlad, right? Why am I blanking out? He was working within our own government. There's photos of him. It was in the Eisenhower time period, and he was from Venus. And no, his name wasn't Vlad. What was it? It wasn't Vlad. It was oh crap, hold on. What was his damn name? Yes, he's the long-fingered guy. Harlan, what's his damn name? What's his name? What is his name? What was his name? Hold on. I showed you guys him before. It's not Vlad. Who was it? Who was it? Here. Valiant Thor. That's who it was. Valiant Thor, Valiant Thor, Valiant Thor, Thor, Thor. Valiant Thor. Okay. So, we apparently already had Valiant Thor. Okay. Let me show you Valiant Thor. This was Valiant Thor. That's so funny, Harlot. You remembered his long fingers. Because he does have long fingers. This was Valiant Thor. And he apparently was an extraterrestrial from Venus, I believe. And he stayed for a period of time within our government. Look at his fingers. He does have very long fingers. Yep, when Eisenhower went off the radar for a period of time, and they said, oh, for his trip, and then he said, oh, he had a dentist appointment. A dentist appointment! You know, his great-granddaughter, Laura Eisenhower, speaks out about it all the time, about the treaty and everything. This is Valiant Thor. There's more with Valiant Thor. Hold on. No, not that. Hold on. Valiant Thor. There's another one. Here. This one. This would be Valiant Thor. This is Valiant Thor right here. Venus, yeah. There it is, Venus. The alien from Venus that lived at the Pentagon. Yep. In 1967, Val and his companions were from Venus and had landed on March 16, 1957 with a 3-year mission to invite the Earth to join the interstellar community who had their eyes on us ever since the atomic bomb blast in World War II. Val was brought to meet President Eisenhower and Vice President Nixon, who put him up in an apartment at the Pentagon. He traveled and met with many government officials. Then at the end of his mission, he dematerialized on March 16th, 1960. Well, we're taught to suppress all of this stuff from day one. We're taught listen, guys, and I hate how they do it. They make you think, you're crazy if you believe in extraterrestrials. You're crazy if you think the government can lie to you. I think you're crazy if you think otherwise. I don't know, poor Linda. I don't know about that. Well, I guess that's what he would have explained, and there would have been ways to prove it. Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing, guys. If listen, aliens are not good or bad the same way cops are not good or bad. Judges are not good or bad. There are malevolent and benevolent aliens. But if they wanted us, we would be like if they have the ability to travel through space and time, we have no chance, okay? Period. If they wanted us gone, we'd be gone by now. But we are the biggest threat because we are at war with one another. And until we can stop destroying one another, we can't raise our consciousness to get to the point where we can become interstellar. And if we destroy Earth, it really will make a ripple effect and set off this butterfly effect of these other planets and the galaxies, and they don't want us to destroy our own planet. Yet at the same time, they don't want to interject. They will if they have to, but they want us to figure it out on our own. But it threatens their existence at the same time. Hi, Pesa. Yes, Pesa, 100%. We are very low down on the feeding chain. Like, we're very low down. I very much believe that there are already alien human mixed. 100%. And there is much more than just one species of aliens. I believe that aliens have been here for a very long time. That all alien means is a life form outside of Earth. That's all it is. Well, there's the whole interdimensional beings too, MK. What really freaked me out is the cattle mutilations. Oh, yes. That's why I mean by there was a deal, Little Red. There was 100% a friggin' deal. If you go by the natural evolution, there was a jump. There was a jump. And conveniently, it was right at the time of Eisenhower. Oh, well, that could just be our future selves, Jennifer, traveling back, right? When people see UFOs, they automatically associate aliens, but that could just be an advanced form of human civilization traveling back in time. I believe greatly in Antarctica. What they're covering up is an advanced form of human civilization that was already established. The cattle mutilations severely freaked me out. The tools that were used, the instruments that were used were unknown to humans. Right. And from what I know about the time, listen, time travel is possible 100%. It's possible right now. Just people think about time travel kind of like Back to the Future, and it's not necessarily like that. Time travel in the sense of Interstellar is 100% real. Now, can we travel back in our own timeline and change things? I don't know about that. But time travel is real and possible because time is a man-made concept and not linear. And yeah, we are living in at least 21 dimensions that we know about, Debbie Doodles, and we're three-dimensional beings. Yeah, CERN is some fuck shit. Sorry, but it is. Yep, time's relative. I've looked for so many UFOs. I've never seen one, unfortunately. Well, and that's the thing, you know, everyone is like, oh, ghosts, spirits. We're three-dimensional beings. I don't know how people aren't more amazed by science. We're three-dimensional beings. They are telling us there's at least 21 dimensions. That is 18 other dimensions happening around us right now. We aren't perceiving. We are not perceiving those other dimensions. When you are picking up on a ghost or a spirit, something like that, how do you know you're just not tapping into another dimension? What is happening in all of those other dimensions that we're just not aware of? Have you ever seen a light being? It's amazing. Oh, but Roswell was just a weather balloon. Come on, Pesa. Yep, glitch in the matrix. Well, Debbie Doodles, that's what they've confirmed so far, right? But it's endless. Who knows? Who knows? String theory? It's just, it's crazy. What was I going to do? Yeah, I thought I saw another dimension on acid. We all did. Well, and we're taught, Abellis, to suppress our abilities from day one. I do believe that we are all capable of having abilities. That is why people have the ability to remote view. People have telekinesis. People have mind reading abilities, but we're taught from day one to suppress it. The government teaches us to suppress it from day one, to make a joke out of it, right? But there are people who their gifts are just stronger than others. All of these CIA projects have been leaked where they have done studies and they've been successful based on these abilities. Why are they doing projects based on remote viewing and telekinesis and things like that if it's all a joke? They don't want you to know you have these abilities. Well, and that's how they do it, Double M. They have, do you know conspiracy theorists was made up by the government? That's what they do. But that's a whole nother topic for another live. But all right, guys. So I'm going to hop off because I have to switch over to Patreon and I'm going to start my 9/11 live. So if you guys are a Patreon member, I will meet you guys over there. If you are not, please consider becoming a Patreon member, but don't become a Patreon member if you can't handle it. So you're like, I'm not saying that lightly, like for real. I don't hold back, so I don't want to hear any, oh my God, no. So I'm gonna end it out here. I'm looking forward to doing episode 2 of the Missing 411. Thank you all so much for being here. I look forward to going live on Patreon. I'll see you there over there in a few minutes. So I hope you all have a wonderful night. And if I don't see you over on Patreon, I will see you all over here tomorrow. So thank you to my mods, and I'll see you all soon.